Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Decisions, the space where we explore how psychology, economics, and human behavior shape the way we navigate life. I'm Laura, and today we're diving into a topic that every single one of us has faced at some point: how to stay calm after a loss. It could be the end of a relationship, losing a job, a sudden financial setback, or the death of someone we love. Loss shakes us deeply, and somehow, even though it's universal, it's still incredibly hard to handle when it happens to us. To help us understand what actually happens inside our minds and bodies during these moments, I'm joined by Daniel, an expert who blends behavioral economics, neuroscience, and emotional well-being in a way that's both practical and deeply human. Daniel, thank you for being here.
Thanks for inviting me, Laura. And you're right. Loss is something everyone experiences, but most of us were never taught how to deal with it. So conversations like this are not just useful, they're necessary.
Absolutely. And what I love about your work is that it breaks down these emotional and scientific concepts into something relatable. Because let's be honest, when you're in the middle of a painful moment, the last thing you want is a textbook. You want clarity, calm, and some sense of direction.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to offer today.
Let's set the stage a bit. Why is it so hard for people to stay calm after a loss? We're humans. We've been going through loss for thousands of years. Shouldn't we be good at this by now?
You think so, right? But biologically, loss triggers an alarm system. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, when we lose something meaningful, whether it's emotional, financial, or relational, the brain activates the same threat response that was designed to protect us from physical danger. Cortisol, adrenaline, all of that kicks in.
So, in a way, the body reacts like it's being attacked, even when the threat isn't physical.
Exactly. And this stress response makes it incredibly hard to think clearly. Ironically, the moment we most need calm and clarity is the moment our brains are least capable of providing it.
That is such an important point. Calm becomes the first casualty of loss.
Beautifully said.
Okay, let's dig into what's actually happening internally when someone experiences a loss. Whether a breakup, losing money, or the passing of someone close, what's exactly going on inside them?
What happens is what researchers call a stress cascade. Harvard Medical School explains that after a traumatic or sudden event, the body releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And those hormones, while designed to protect us, temporarily impair the brain's ability to plan, reflect, and make decisions.
Which explains why people say, I can't think straight, or everything feels foggy.
Exactly. And we typically see three immediate effects. First, the prefrontal cortex, the rational brain, partially shuts down. Second, the amygdala, the emotional center, goes into overdrive and magnifies every perceived threat. And third, the perception of time shifts. People feel disconnected or like everything is happening in slow motion.
I've definitely felt that sense of time distortion. It's like the world keeps moving, but internally, everything slows down.
That's a very common experience. And the important thing is, none of these reactions mean you're weak or failing. They're biological responses.
You once described loss to me as an internal earthquake. I love that metaphor.
Yes, because an earthquake doesn't destroy your foundation permanently, but it shakes everything you thought was stable. And once the ground settles, you rebuild differently.
That's powerful. And it really captures what people feel in those first hours or days.
Exactly.
Let's shift into something almost everybody struggles with after a loss: catastrophic thinking. Why does the mind leap so quickly to the worst possible conclusions?
This is where Daniel Kahneman's work is so helpful. He talks about loss aversion, which means humans feel the pain of losing almost twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining. So when we're vulnerable, the brain exaggerates danger.
So it's not that people are dramatic, it's biology.
Exactly. And the World Bank's research shows that negative financial outcomes trigger stronger emotional reactions than positive ones of equal size. That's why losing $100 feels so much worse than the happiness of winning $100.
I think we've all had that moment where the mind immediately says, this is it, I'll never recover.
Yes, and the key is not to fight those thoughts, but to disarm them. There are 4 techniques I always recommend.
Let's go through them.
First, naming the emotion. UCLA studies show that labeling your feelings, like I feel anxious or I feel scared, reduces emotional intensity by nearly 1/3.
That's incredible. Just naming it changes the internal weather.
It really does. Second, ask yourself, what evidence do I have? Because nearly 80% of catastrophic predictions never happen. Third, zoom out. Ask, how will I see this in 6 months? And fourth, change the internal narrative from this destroyed me to this challenged me.
I love that. It shifts you from victimhood to resilience.